Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Monday, March 8th, 2021. At our top stories today, we'll get the latest information on filing your 2020 tax return and talk about some tax preparation hacks. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is Michael Berman. He's a CPA with KBSTNM. Michael, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, it seems like this time last year, I think we spoke about taxes and tax returns. But 2020 is unique for so many reasons. We had the pandemic, health concerns, financial concerns, economic concerns. But from your perspective, how is 2020 shaped up from a tax return filing perspective for individuals?
Sure. So there's definitely been some added complexities that have been in 2020 due to the pandemic. There's been a lot of people that may have lost their job, been furloughed, had maybe opportunities where they needed to get gig type works where they're just trying to get some part-time work to get by. They may have also been receiving unemployment compensation that they were possibly not even aware that that's actually a taxable event for tax purposes. So there's definitely been some new nuances that weren't necessarily as much of an issue in the past.
So Michael, I'm just hypothetically, if I had lost my position or I was furloughed, but then got unemployment assistance in my state, plus the federal money that goes along with it, right? They gave kind of like a bump from the federal side as well. Is that money is taxable, right? And I have to report all of that to my CPA in my taxes.
Correct. Yes. So right now, as it stands, it is taxable for federal purposes. There are some states on the books that already excluded that from income, and a couple of states have come up with a waiver just for 2020 where that income will be excluded. One other issue that people are running into with the unemployment is when they went to initially file for their unemployment, they probably had an option during the interview process or online where they could choose to say, hey, I want to have taxes withheld on my federal and state, and they may have just bypassed it, not understanding that that was applicable for income tax purposes. So that's also like one issue that people are running into, that they were unsure about it, didn't fill in any withholdings, and now they're going to be in a situation where they very possibly could owe taxes for maybe the first time in their lifetime that normally they're getting refunds because they were normally having taxes withheld from their wages.
Now, Michael, you mentioned that there are some states that have waived this, or I guess it goes to legislature, right? The legislature goes into session and they pass a law or statute that says we're not going to tax this. How do I determine? I'm living in the state of North Carolina, but there are people in all 50 states who watch this program. Is there a way to determine what your state is currently doing so people can keep abreast of what they need to provide? And also, they need to provide that it's a 1099-G that they would have gotten from their state, correct?
That is correct. And one other thing is, a lot of the states, just from a paperless standpoint, you're not actually getting something in the mail. So you may not be expecting this, but if you go onto your unemployment website, you probably will be able to retrieve the 1099-G from that website. You also probably got an email stating that there was a 1099-G that was being sent to you electronically. Now, from the sense of how do you find out from each state, there are websites that keep track of all the different states from an unemployment standpoint. Also with the tax software that is, currently available, there, everything is fluid right now. So state laws are, changing even as we speak, but they are going to be updated with with the most up-to-date information that is out there. If for some reason that you've already filed your return and you find out that the state has changed their law, you would then have to, unfortunately, you would have to file an amended return to be able to get that income tax back that you may have paid in or plan to pay in.
Yeah. And Michael, last year when we experienced COVID, I recall state and federal taxes filings were delayed. I want to say to July 15th. Maybe I'm wrong on that. You can correct me. Right now, is there any chance that the April 15th tax date, which is the date traditionally that Americans need to pay their taxes, is there any consideration that that might be pushed back given everything that's going on? We've got a stimulus bill, which at the time we're recording this on a Thursday, hadn't been passed. But that may create the need for stimulus checks to go out from the Internal Revenue Service and the Treasury. But any sense for whether or not this might be delayed again? I don't want to give people false hope, but what are you hearing in terms of that?
Sure. So the buzz around the I guess the CPA world is that there probably will be a postponement due to the fact that it's very difficult for the IRS to handle stimulus checks as well as processing returns. I am aware that Congress has been inquiring the IRS about a postponement. At the moment, the IRS is kind of like really saying, no, we're not, we can handle it. We're looking to, keep everything as is. But my gut instinct is that once the stimulus package is signed by the president and the IRS has to start processing, there will be probably a postponement. Not sure, if it's going to go as far as July 15th or somewhere's a little bit closer, maybe May or June, but it's probably heading in that direction.
Yeah. For whatever it's worth, in my opinion, I guess doesn't matter in the scheme of things in terms of what people are thinking about. But there's a lot of meat here that we've just talked about that everybody is going to have to think about. You may not get a tax refund this year, as you stated, because some of you, if you were getting unemployment both at the federal and state level, that's taxable. That may eat into what would be your refund. I think that creates a lot of indecisiveness and creates a lot of turmoil for people as they're working to prepare their return. I mean, whether they're working with a CPA like yourself, they're using accounting software like an Intuit or one of those other pieces of software, tax prep software, or they're doing it themselves. I mean, it's going to be very complicated, I would think.
I agree, and I just wanted to kind of throw out one caveat that is possibly out there for certain individuals where the stimulus checks round one and round two were based off of the 2018 or 2019 return, depending on what was filed at that time. So it's very possible you may have individuals that were in a situation where they were not going to receive the actual stimulus checks because of the income that they had in those past years, but they did have a significant drop in 2020. And when they go to file their 2020 return, they are able to reconcile the stimulus and receive a credit for any stimulus that they were entitled to during the 2020 tax return. So there may be somewhat of a saving grace in that situation for some people, but I do agree with you that depending on the levels of unemployment income that they had without tax withheld from it, they may be in a situation. And we do expect that the IRS is going to kind of be a little bit more lenient from the interest and penalties that may accrue for not paying everything you know, at the actual deadline, wherever it be 4/15 or if it gets postponed. So we do sense that Congress is going to initiate something like some leniency in the penalties as well for 2020.
Yeah, well, let's hope that there's some guidance that comes out in the very near future, because I think some people have already filed their returns, and hopefully they filed them correctly. Michael, I want to take a very quick break, but when we come back, Michael will offer some tax filing hacks that he thinks will make a lot of sense for the audience to consider as they're preparing their tax forms. So stick around, stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking to Michael Bourbon. He's a CPA with KBSTNM. Michael, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
No problem.
And you referenced the CPA World. How big is the CPA World? Is that like an underworld? Is that is that a continent unto its own? I have to think that there are a lot of CPAs out there, and that you guys are all kind of bantering about and trying to figure out what the best path forward is for many Americans this year.
No doubt. It's, we're very expansive, and there's a wide network of information that's, available to us, and we have a lot of resources that, are advocating for the taxpayer out there to give them the best opportunity to save on taxes.
Yeah. So Michael, as I alluded when we went out to the commercial break, I want to talk to you about not retirement hacks, excuse me, but I think it might involve some retirement hacks, some tax prep hacks that you're already starting with your clients to prepare taxes. I know you've been working lots of long days and weekends, you and the team at KBSTM and M have been doing. But what are some tips that people listening to this, whether they're in your home state of Maryland or in one of the other 49 states, should be thinking about?
Sure. There are actually still some some tax tips that you can do for 2020 that even though we're talking in 2021, there are items that you can do up until the deadline. Like we were just saying, either it's 4/15 or it gets delayed and it gets pushed back. You're able to still make an IRA contribution if applicable. For instance, maybe you have like a high deductible insurance and you can make a HSA contribution that's still available to do. Let's say you are like a gig worker and you had some significant income from that particular position, and you're able to take expenses, but as well you have opportunities to create what we call a SEP plan, which is kind of like a self-employed IRA, and you're able to get a deduction, and you really don't have to make the contribution until you file the return, even if you hit the return onto extension. So you kind of have some opportunities to save on taxes, put away money for the future, and it's kind of it's a win-win.
Yep. And Michael, let's not forget about the retirement savers credit, right? If you made contributions, and the reason why I bring this up, I remember a conversation I had with Caroline Bruckner from the Kogod Tax Policy Center. This is something that if you've made contributions, were furloughed, you can still, and have an income, you meet the income thresholds, you could still get that retirement savers credit on your, and take advantage of that, right? I mean, that's something, if you're expecting a refund and maybe don't get it, you can lower your tax burden this year.
Absolutely. That is definitely another tip that's available for individuals that have either saved into retirement from a 401k type plan or like an IRA. Absolutely.
And in terms of organization and getting information to a CPA like yourself, or if you choose to work with a tax prep service like H&R Block, I mean, there's a million of them out there. None of them are sponsors, by the way. Just to make clear, I'm just naming them off the top of my head. But you should really come to your CPA or tax preparer, or for yourself, lay out all the things we talked about in the first segment, the 1099-G, all your 1099s, whether they're the miscellaneous, the interest, if you took a retirement distribution, all that information should be provided to your employer, or not your employer, from your employer if it's a W-2, to the CPA in which to prepare your taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add something that's kind of new for this year, for when you're talking about a 1099 miscellaneous, a lot of people that are kind of like independent contractors, there is a new form called the 1099 NEC, which replaces box 7 of the 1099 miscellaneous. So, somebody that's typically looking for a 1099 miscellaneous and has received that, as a replacement. So it's sometimes, you might be like, whoa, what's this form? But it really is the actual, that's the form that is being used for 2020. Our firm has like a lot of different tools where we're able to have our clients send us the information securely from the just going onto the internet website and uploading everything to us, so that you don't have to, we have some people that maybe with the COVID restrictions don't feel as comfortable going out, and this gives an opportunity to send us everything electronically, or possibly avoid all the delays that we've been experiencing with the postal service.
Michael, when you think about, let's talk about 2021, because I know we're not done with tax filings for 2020, but there's got to be some tips, and we don't know when we return to normal, right? We don't know when that's going to be. We thought it might be March. It could be the summer. It could be the following March. But what should we be thinking about for 2021 tax filings? We know that we're going to have a potential stimulus, and a stimulus check for some Americans. There should be continuation of some unemployment benefit for those that remain unemployed. But what should we all be thinking about in terms of prepping and doing an even better job for 2021?
Sure. So, there are also maybe some incentives from the new bill that's getting ready to get signed, where there may be a child tax credit that is kind of provided in an installment sense, where you may get an advance of that credit during the year, where you don't have to actually wait till the filing of your taxes, which would be this time next year. Besides that, you have to, there are retirement actions that you can take if you have the ability to put some money away. That may be like a good option. Just keeping good track of your records and being aware, if you do have, if you are on unemployment, you may want to put 10% away, 15%, so that you have it available when it comes time to do your taxes for 2021. I mean, I know times are very difficult and cash flow is tight, but you don't want to be in a situation where you have to owe Uncle Sam. It's that's not really the best situation to be in.
Yeah, it's always tough writing a check on April 15th when you have to stroke a check, and it's nice getting the refund too. Well, Michael, we're going to leave it there. I think we gave the audience quite a few tips, a lot of information. I hope they were able to take it all in and have a much more successful tax season this year. Michael Berman of KBST&M, great to see you as always. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you, Jeff.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to? Then drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in retirement markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, all in one place, check out today's edition of our newsletter, The Morning Pulse. We're back again tomorrow for another episode of BRN AM. So until tomorrow, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Are you being audited, and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.